This is a video for the basics of my classroom. So make sure you have your guided notes out and you're following along and filling them in as we go through this. This video is going to cover everything you need to know about being successful in my classroom. In the video, we're going to cover the rules and policies for my classroom, which are also the same rules and policies in many of the other classrooms on the team. So, first section is the restroom policy. We're going to go back and cover that on the next part of the video so I can go into good detail on it and really explain it to you. So the next section would be the electronic policy. Electronics are a great tool in the classroom. It's a great form of communication, but you need to make sure you're using it properly. So the first time you're caught using it improperly, you're going to get a warning. We'll say, hey, please put the phone away and pay attention. Or, hey, please use the phone the way you're supposed to be right now to do the assignment at hand. The second time, you can be asked to give the phone to the teacher. Now, if you don't give the phone to the teacher, that's being defiant and could result in a referral. So most of the time, it's just easier if you just hand the phone over to the teacher and get it back at the end of the class. Or just don't get in trouble in the first place. The next section is the discipline policy. So acting up in class, being a disturbance, that's not tolerated. So the first, you're going to get a warning. You're going to be warned, hey, please stop disturbing the class. Now if we keep doing it, you're going to end up with a lunch detention. That's the second step. Lunch detentions are held on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they're not much fun. So you'd much rather just be in the classroom behaving, so that way you can be in the lunchroom behaving as well. Now the third one is after-school detention. You got to fill out the after-school detention form and get sent home. We will contact your parents and talk to them about the reason why you've gotten to this step in the discipline policy, and you're going to have to serve detention after school on a Wednesday. And after that, the fourth step, you're just then being defiant, and it'll result in a referral each time you do that action. So first is a warning, second, lunch detention, third, after school detention, then referrals from then on out. So that means that if you keep doing the same behavior, it's not going to be tolerated. Also, excessive disturbances in class. So if you're doing something to take away from the learning of everyone in the classroom, it won't be tolerated. You'll be removed by either an administrator or the resource officer, Officer Baldwin. So pretty much just behave in the classroom and we won't have to get to that step. Another thing for the team policy is there are no hats or external speakers. If it's seen, it's taken. If you don't give it to them, it's being defiant and results in a referral. So if you have a hat on and a teacher asks you for it, just give them the hat, get it back at the end of the day, and it won't be a problem. Make sure you filled out the guided notes for all of these steps, and then continue on with the video. The restroom policy for the team is pretty easy. You can't go during class. You can go in the last 5 minutes of any class period throughout the day. So that's plenty of time to use the restroom. So if you feel like you need to use the restroom, go at the last 5 minutes, so that way you don't have to get out of the next class to use the restroom. Now the water policy is we can't have you leaving to get water throughout every class period. So the water policy will go the same. You can go in the last 5 minutes if your work is done. Otherwise, you have plenty of time in passing to hit one of the many water fountains throughout campus. Only one male and one female can leave at a time to use the restroom, but they need to make sure they fill out the restroom log. Every student must fill out the restroom log to be accountable for the time they were out. That's a pretty easy policy. If it's not the last 5 minutes of class, then don't bother to ask, okay? That's the restroom policy. Late work. This picture right here pretty much sums it up. Everyone always has an excuse or a reason for why it's late. Sometimes it's a good excuse, sometimes it's made up, but you know what? It's still an excuse. So, pretty much, unless it's cleared with me beforehand, the late policy is I deduct 5% from the grade and I'll accept it at any point. So you can turn something in 2 weeks later, get a small little percentage off, and still end up with a nice grade. I do this because I'd rather you complete the work and turn it in than just skip out on doing it at all because you had something come up. So only 5% off, so that means you can still get a 95% on that assignment, which is an A. So it's always a good idea to do the late work if you can find it and if you have it, and you get it turned in. The cheating policy for this class is zero tolerance. If I catch you copying someone's packet, I'm going to take both of your packets and I'm going to recycle them. You'll be able to redo them, but I'm going to contact home and it'll probably result in a referral. Now, cheating on a test is an automatic referral. Do not cheat. It's not worth it. You'll get a 0 on any test or any quiz given. Now the packets, it may be tempting to copy what someone wrote, but if I find out you copied them, if I see it, if it's word for word, if I can tell that you copied, then you're both going to result in a 0 until you redo it on your own. Now, you don't need that. You don't want me contacting, calling your parents and letting them know you're cheating, so just do the work, do it in class, and work on it If you have any problems, ask me and I can help you and we can avoid this. So the cheating policy for my class is zero tolerance. No cheating will be allowed. The number one rule for my class is always remain seated. You need to remain in your seat. If you have a question, raise your hand and I will come over and help you. But you need to remain seated. When you get out of your seat, that's when people start getting in trouble, and you don't need to have that happen. So if you remain seated, it'll most likely keep you out of trouble and we won't have any problems. Now, if you need to go use the pencil sharpener, you need to go get a reference in the classroom, just raise your hand, ask, and you'll be able to go. So remember, always remain seated. Now, if I'm moving you around for groups, I will tell you to move. But when you're in that group, remain seated. It's a very easy rule. My number one rule and the most important rule is always be in a seat. Always in a seat and sitting properly. Extra credit is built into this class. I do this with the weekly packets. You get these packets and sometimes you'll find you get finished a little earlier than you expected in the week. I do this on purpose. I like to give you time to do the projects I have for you. On the board, there's an extra credit section on the back board which communicates the information from me to you in the class. You can choose any one of those extra credit assignments or come up with one and we can create one together. The three main types of extra credit are visual, which would be a poster or some kind of visual representation that helps people understand what we're learning in the classroom to what you're showing them, helping them to connect. The second type could be an audio, so some kind of where you're doing a reading, maybe presenting it out loud to the class, maybe recording a reading, something that'll help people understand the information we're learning in the class through the project you made. And the third type is like a technology based, so some kind of green screen, some kind of video assignment. An audio assignment could be technology based, depending on how you put it together. Any of those are the types of extra credit we'll be doing to help you understand the content throughout this year. So make sure you copy these types of extra credit down onto the guided notes for this section, and also make sure you've completed all the rest of the guided notes because this is the end of the video and it's about time at the end of the week for you to turn this in. If you have any problems or questions, feel free to raise your hand in class or go back and rewind the video and watch any parts for anything you missed.